Okay guys, welcome back. Got our third installment here on our Biots and Quills series, and what we're working with today are synthetics. Okay, what these are just little rubber or plastic strips that I've seen some that are stickers. These ones seem to be just, they're coated on both sides. So on this side, you got more orange, more distinctive stripe on the other. Mess around with it. But what we have here, just basic October caddis, okay, caddis pupa. As far as the ingredients that we have here, we have the same beads we were using before. It's that drab olive by Firehole, 3mm bead. These are hairline synthetic quills that we're seeing here on the body. The hook that we got, Fulling Mill 5065, size 14, and just some squirrel hair dubbing. So nothing fancy about this. I would think that after tying up a dozen of these, I've never used these before. When you look at this card, you can see that there's two different sizes. I think that's just front and back because they tend to look the same as these other ones here, but I'll pull one from the other side and we can compare it at the end. It's kind of hard to look. That's like psychedelic. The thread that we're using is just a black nano silk, and I got just a standard black here to taper that body, because again, that is important, that underbody. To try to create a hump or a curve or a bulkier thorax, you got to do it. So if you want to make it work, using two different type threads. That nano silk, it takes you like forever because it's so thin. This is just a 6/0, and a couple passes up and down the hook, usually enough to get you for size 14, 16. So all right, let's go ahead and get into this. Get our hook here. Kind of enjoying this series here, making some neat stuff. This one obviously is the October Caddis, one of 10,000 probably. I'll tie this back into the bend because we do want that curve. Okay. And I'll just hang that on the back of my vise. Get this other 6/0. You have to keep in mind with these synthetics, they're thick. So they're gonna take up some space on the hook, especially when we get down into the bend here. You obviously want it as thin as possible. So trying to keep the bulk of your your underbody, above a certain point until you get past the bend, and can start wrapping, circles around the hook there so that you don't, those things don't bunch up. They are plastic, so you gotta kind of live with what you got and what's available here. Let me go back to about that hook point area. Build up the front of this first. We'll do a quick compare session at the end here with these different types of quills. These synthetics are nice. I've never used them on anything before, but they are pricey. Compared to a couple bucks, it's going to get you hundreds of bugs. They're for show bugs. Instagram. They look just as good as anything else that you can buy. Careful of that taper there. Okay. I'd rather taper that bottom end in with the nano silk since it's so much thinner. Usually it's about right here that you start having issues. Okay. And again, we picked black on purpose. These little things are in here kind of like an accordion type of thing, if you can see that. Just pull them off. Trim off the edge, and I want to tie enough on here that it is going to reach that point on the hook. Just trying to be very consistent when I'm wrapping this in here. I don't want to trim anything off, but it's right about this part in the hook that, you know, we start to get that folding a little bit. Okay. Right now I'm just going to taper that in just a touch more. That nano silk. We have that black underbody. It's going to hide some of our mistakes. So. Okay, we're going to tie that off. When we wrap these, it's pretty simple. Just wrap them around the hook. Try to get that first wrap in there, and then just use the rotary vise. You can make that segmentation as tight as you want it. These look good, but sometimes I use different materials to create different effects. These are very flat, not a lot of texture to them. See, it's right there. That one turned out pretty good. And all we're doing is trying to lay that yellow line right over the leading edge of the orange. I'm going to wrap that the whole way up to the head, so that everything is covered, and then we'll cinch it down. The nice thing about these synthetics, man, they are long. You can get a number of bugs, probably 2 bugs per strip. You can see how much I got left over here. I am just gonna tie that back just a touch before I cut it. Okay. Now, talked about using different types of UV. I got some of this Solares because they say it dries a little bit easier or more easily. A little bit more clear. So to help this bug out, I gonna turn it upside down here because Solares is thin, so I want this little bump to be created there where it all collects. Alright, I'm gonna cook it. It smokes. I don't know why. Oh, good. I have a little bit of a gap there. You can see that little bit of a black edge there. That's usually right where you start to see things bunch up like that. That's not too bad. Okay. Now we're gonna get some of our squirrel fur. This is that brown mustard color I'm using on everything. Just a touch more. All right, hide all our mistakes. Bulk that up just a touch. We're gonna cinch that down in there, tie it off. Okay. Trim that off. Get your brush. I want to pull stuff away from the top of this. This into the fur just to make sure we're going to secure the top of that thing where we tie it in at. Okay, there we go. October Caddis pupa with the synthetic quills. Okay guys, let's do a little review here. Obviously, when we're looking at the differences on some of these, when I'm going back to look at these patterns, you know, that I've tied up, this one seems to be the one that's showing, yeah, the best different, or the best detail. And so to show some of these other bugs, I zoomed in a little bit. So you can see, we're going to put each one in here real quick. This one here is the green turkey biot body that's wrapped tips in. And you're making sure that that little ridge of feathers is on the top side, so that when you make the next wrap, you're actually you're wrapping over those little fibers that stick up. Here is stonefly with the little ridges. Okay, you can see that there. That's just a neat look. I mean, why not? All right. Next bug that we did was this olive stonefly, where we were using a quill with this. You can see that, you know, that segmentation in there. You know, very specific barring. These were much easier to work with. Using a goose biot for a body, unless you're tying size 18 or whatever, you're gonna run out of product, you know, and have to use multiple biots. When you do that, you're gonna have some discrepancies as far as, you know, the aesthetic value of what you're trying to do. So to use a quill, you can keep those pretty tight. As far as the wraps go, they're very thin. They are flat, and you know, you can keep that segmentation good. I like them because you can still create that slender body. That's an advantage. You don't see too many of these when you're, at least we don't, in this area. Couple different examples I got here for you that I tied up in this caddis pattern. This one, okay, with this one here, this is that caddis pattern written, you know, to where the goose biot is tied in tips out. That's what's given us these little ridges. And you can see even on this tiny pattern, I was only getting, you know, 3 different segments with one goose biot. The reason when I do this to use that turkey biot, it gives you just enough room that you can use just the one biot. And you know, this technique, yeah, it might be outdated now. It gives you a very specific look. This was the same bug, okay, tied in with tips in. So we're overlapping just like we did on the turkey biot. And this, I thought this was a good, you know, explanation. When we first tied that stonefly, that yellow stonefly, I was using 2 very similar colored biots. And when you looked at the bodies, you really couldn't tell that much difference as far as color when they're laid flat. When you wrap them, you can see the difference here. The one on the bottom is that ginger, okay? It has just a darker edge to it. This is the same, this is a different biot that was that sulfur orange. And you can see the difference a little bit. I can see it on the detail there. That little edge is orange, and that's basically what's getting dyed, you know, when you buy these goose biots. That's just a good example of that. This one here was the caddis pattern made with an olive quill. You can see very thin. This is wrapped right around the hook. I did not build this one up, but yeah, it looks just like a bug. That's the idea. And the last one was just a different color, just to show you a little bit of detail here with, you know, if you put black underneath of this and then wrap the quill, yeah, with a little bit of spacing in it, and you just really create a good product here. This is another October caddis. I'll probably fish this one more than any of them. So there you go, guys. Take your pick, get some quills, do some practice. You know, you probably have biots at home. Try it. It can be difficult. So depending on what you need or what you need to tie, usually when we're using these types of things, those synthetics seem pretty easy to get on there. And segmentation was great, but you know, you're dealing with something that's a little bit more pricey. So pick your poison, go tie some up regardless. All right, go catch some fish. Thanks for stopping in, guys. We'll see you.